Are you struggling with love, or are you searching for the true other half of your life? Perhaps many of us long for a sweet love story and a fulfilling marriage. Yet the reality is that time and time again, we encounter countless stumbles and sorrows. The journey to understanding love and learning how to love is also a path filled with lessons to temper ourselves. You can grow from it. Instead of just drawing lessons from your own experiences in love or from observations and moments witnessed in life, why not enrich your wisdom about love through classic books? There's a novel dubbed The Encyclopedia of Love. It was hailed by the New York Times as the most beautiful love saga in human history. This is the first novel by the writer Gabriel García Márquez, written right after the book that earned him the Nobel Prize. At the same time, it's the work he was most satisfied with. It's called Love in the Time of Cholera. This book tells you a love story spanning over half a century. Florentino Ariza, a poor young man, falls in love with Fermina Daza, a beautiful girl from a wealthy family. The differences in their social status and the gap between rich and poor keep them apart. Fermina marries someone else, while Florentino strives and works tirelessly to improve himself, hoping to win back the true love of his life. And after 51 years, through countless ups and downs, the two finally come together. It's a love story that transcends the trials of time. Truly grand, isn't it? However, behind that radiant romance lies the harshest truth of real life, something we all must reflect on. Love cannot be built solely on heartfelt devotion. It also demands a compatibility of comprehensive strength. If you and that person cannot resonate with each other, no matter how passionate or intense the love is, it can still wither away over the years. Hello everyone, welcome to RISEUP BOOKS, a channel that shares knowledge and fosters personal growth through great books. In today's video, I'd like to share with you a topic titled, If You're Not Good Enough, Loving Anyone is Futile, through the famous novel Love in the Time of Cholera by the great Colombian writer Gabriel García Márquez. Please join me and listen. If you're not good enough, no amount of love can lift up your future. Florentino Ariza, the protagonist of the story, is the illegitimate son of the founder of a transportation company, a man of great wealth and power. But Florentino was never acknowledged or brought into the spotlight. All the support he received from his father happened in secret. Then one day his father suddenly passed away. With his financial support cut off, Florentino was forced to drop out of school and earn a living working at the post office. During one telegram delivery, Florentino met Fermina Daza. Her almond-shaped eyes glanced at him unintentionally, sending his heart into a frenzy. To catch Fermina's attention every morning, he would sit on a bench in the garden near her house, pretending to read a poetry collection while tirelessly writing letters to her. In those love letters, he tucked flower petals engraved with tiny verses. At midnight, he'd often stand near her house, playing soulful melodies on his violin to lull her to sleep. Gradually, Fermina grew fond of this young man. Their relationship quickly blossomed, and Florentino proposed to her. However, things took a turn completely opposite to what he'd hoped. Because Fermina fell in love while still in school, she was disciplined and expelled. Her father flew into a rage, confronted Florentino and bellowed, "Don't stand in the way of me and my daughter." In the eyes of a newly risen merchant with little education, his daughter was undoubtedly his ace in the hole for the future. Meanwhile, Florentino An illegitimate child was nothing more than a thorn in his side. So Fermina's father used distance to tear the couple apart. He took Fermina away from their hometown. Yet, no matter where Fermina went, Florentino managed to send her love letters. Seeing that he couldn't separate the star-crossed lovers, her father reluctantly handed the decision about her marriage back to her. After a long time apart, Fermina reunited with Florentino. But now, in her eyes, he was a poor, ugly, broken man, like a vagabond, far from the princely image she once held in her heart. She suddenly realized that the love that had obsessed her was nothing but an illusion. So she decisively broke up with Florentino. The book has a line: "The weak can never step into the kingdom of love, for it is a realm both harsh and stingy. Women will only yield to men of metal, because only such men can give them a sense of security. They crave that sense of security to face life's challenges." A thatched hut with two golden hearts isn't a bad thing. But one day, those involved might have to endure suffering in the face of real-life trials. Florentino was intelligent and talented, yet his weakness at the time was like a nail, pinning him to the bottom of society. Though he tried his utmost to show his sincere devotion, his lack of progress over the years dealt a fatal blow to his love story. This holds true for many people. When you like someone, you might cast aside all principles to win them over, like a moth chasing a flame in pursuit of love. But in the end, when your feelings aren't returned, you're left disappointed and disillusioned. Why is it so unfair when I genuinely poured my heartfelt love into someone so deeply? But what you don't realize is that the real problem lies within you. You're not outstanding enough, not good enough. No matter how much you love, that love can't prop up a future for two. Behind the curtain of love, daily necessities always pose practical problems. This is something anyone who rushes into love or marriage must confront. Love is a marathon. After parting with Florentino, Fermina fell gravely ill. She suffered from vomiting and diarrhea. Her father thought she had cholera and called Dr. Juvenal Urbino to examine her. The moment Dr. Urbino saw Fermina, he was instantly captivated by her beauty. Her father witnessed this, and an idea sparked in his mind. Dr. Urbino came from an aristocratic family and possessed exceptional medical skills. Beyond saving lives and healing the sick, he also cared about charitable endeavors, making him highly influential locally. If his daughter married him, she'd never have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of her life and would have a solid foundation to lean on. So her father worked to bring them together, and the doctor began courting Fermina. After spending time with him, Fermina felt that while the doctor wasn't particularly romantic, he had good prospects and cared deeply for her. Perhaps, she thought, this could be someone worth entrusting her life to. And so she eventually accepted Dr. Juvenal Urbino's proposal. Some say marriage is nothing but a transaction, with each side taking what they need. Fermina's beauty and Dr. Urbino's charisma perfectly illustrate this saying. It's like a trade. Wherever they went, as long as Fermina was by his side, her beauty made the doctor the center of envy. As for Fermina, she was no longer just the daughter of a merchant. Now she was the wife of the renowned doctor. Urbino, a woman of social standing, basking in wealth and fame. As you know, every beauty must one day face aging. A face brimming with youthful vitality will gradually turn into dry, wrinkled leaves. The slender figure of yesteryear no longer moves with the same grace. At this point, the balance of that initial transaction begins to crumble. As Fermina grew older, her elegance faded. She became a housewife, living in her husband's shadow. Endless household chores left her exhausted. Meanwhile, Dr. Urbino's reputation only grew, his ambitions reaching ever higher. Eventually, he lost interest in Fermina's aging face and even began affairs with younger women. Though he later returned to his family, their marriage became riddled with conflicts, with frequent quarrels over trivial matters. Fermina spent the rest of her days in that heavy atmosphere. In this novel, there's a quote: "Love is a game, and you must always maintain balance, matching your partner's strength. Only then can you love each other for the long haul. If the other is too strong, it's exhausting. If they're too weak, it's boring." Indeed, love is a marathon. When two people first fall in love or get married, they start at the same line. But whether they can reach the finish line together depends on each person's overall capability. If they're on the same wavelength and achieve balance, life will be harmonious. But if one side isn't strong enough, while the other keeps advancing, the gap between them widens. Without enough tolerance or love, the stronger one will dominate the relationship, while the one left behind becomes passive, resigned to their lot. In the book How to Make Anyone Fall in Love with You by Lael Lowndes, a renowned expert on interpersonal communication, emotions, and gender issues, which I've covered in a separate video, there's a key factor for sustaining love: the principle of equal value. It sounds absurd to measure love like a marketplace, doesn't it? But that's the reality. Researchers tell us the happiest relationships are those that achieve balance. The author lists 6 factors to help people choose a partner and maintain their relationship: appearance, wealth, status, knowledge, social finesse, and character or integrity. You can score yourself and your beloved from 1 to 10 on these 6 aspects. See if your scores align in each category. Even if you're not equal, the qualities or strengths you have that they lack, or vice versa, can complement and balance each other, bringing you to what I call the equilibrium point. So, remember, to reach the finish line together, you both need comparable endurance. If a flower blooms on its own, bees and butterflies will naturally come. Back then, when Florentino learned Fermina was marrying someone else, he was devastated, speechless, refusing to eat or drink, tears streaming all night. Later, he drew a painful lesson and began striving to change his circumstances. He went to his uncle's company to seek work, passing rigorous tests until he earned his uncle's trust and became a key trainee. Florentino's career soared like a kite in the wind, but emotionally, he remained a wanderer without a harbor. In his heart, there was always a place reserved for Fermina. Even though he went on to love 622 other women, keeping 25 notebooks filled with their detailed contact information. That fleeting joy was like morning dew, quickly evaporating. It could never replace his unforgettable first love. So, starting anew with Fermina became Florentino's sole aim for the rest of his life. He took meticulous care of his body. Even in old age, he retained his vigor and robust physique. In his career, he excelled at everything with admirable skill. Eventually, he succeeded in becoming the company president, wealthy, powerful, and healthy. Florentino finally waited for the pivotal moment. Dr. Urbino passed away. On the very first day, Fermina became a widow. Before she could wipe away her tears of grief, Florentino appeared. He professed the love he'd harbored for nearly half a century, but she angrily drove him away. Of course, he wasn't discouraged. He picked up his pen again and sent her love letters. To Fermina, his letters were like a soothing balm. At this point, she finally shed the widow's shadow. Following advice, she decided to board a cruise ship owned by Florentino's company. On this journey, Florentino arranged the main cabin for Fermina. Amid the clouds, sky, and sea, he crafted an unimaginable love, detached from the world. This couple, who'd lost half their lives, finally reunited and rekindled the love of their youth. Some ask, did Fermina truly fall for love? If Florentino weren't the capable man he was now, but a poor, ugly old man who suddenly showed up saying, "I'll love you forever," would the outcome be the same? The answer is clearly no. In truth, Fermina wouldn't choose Florentino again if he were still the weak man he once was. That's the practicality of life. She boarded the ship with him because by then she knew his feelings were deep enough, and his strength gave her a sense of security. Plant a sycamore seed and a phoenix will come to visit. If a flower blooms, butterflies and bees will seek it out. When you haven't yet attained what you truly desire, the first step is to look at yourself. Instead of despairing or growing pessimistic, it's better to calm yourself and refine who you are through real effort. Then, without clinging or trying to please anyone, you'll be like a blooming flower, naturally exuding a fragrance that draws admirers. Florentino's love under Gabriel García Márquez's pen is like the cholera outbreak's fury in America at the time. It spreads easily, kills, and is reborn. To Florentino, this pursuit of love over half a century was an obsession he couldn't let go of. In reality, what he was so fixated on was himself. He'd been rejected before. Only by proving his worth and winning Fermina back could he heal his inner wounds, step out from the shadow of failure, and reclaim the self-respect he'd long lost. Florentino's story mirrors many of ours. Loving someone, pouring everything into the chase, yet feeling small and pitiful like dust, only to end up rejected. For someone who doesn't love you, you might exhaust your youth and passion, yet receive no shred of genuine affection in return. But the problem will always lie within us. An author once said, "Of all the responsibilities in the world, the most fundamental is to become yourself, living with a self that has personality and unique value. Don't chase a horse when you're not strong enough. Instead, use that time to plant your own grass. When spring warms and flowers bloom, the horse will naturally come to you." On love's scale, don't let your undeveloped character, abilities, or circumstances tip you off balance. The prerequisite for love is to first become an outstanding version of yourself. Only by constantly pushing yourself to shine, illuminating your own path, can you ignite the love of your life. The better you become, the more likely the one you like will step towards you. The benevolent see benevolence, the wise see wisdom. The same issue is viewed differently by each person. The same book yields unique insights for each reader. Today's video reflects the understanding and feelings of RISEUP Books after reading this novel. I'd like to share it with all of you for reference and learning. Speaking of love in this book, personally, I don't like Dr. Urbino because he's an unfaithful man. I don't like Florentino either because he could hold on to a 51-year love yet still romance 622 other women. Nor do I like Fermina because in the end she didn't truly love her husband or Florentino. She just chose the one she deemed most suitable at a given time. To me, this book isn't solely about pure love. It's a work that lets us learn from characters portrayed as real as life itself, helping you understand how to love, how to nurture, and build your own happiness before and during a relationship. No matter what, love yourself first. Learn to make yourself better. Because when you change, you become more outstanding, gaining the generosity and wisdom to love truly. You'll offer unconditional love, not turn feelings into some kind of trade. What we need is to achieve and maintain a balance in love. Balance is the best state for a lasting relationship. I love this saying. Learn to be a person like an umbrella. If you can't shield others from sun or rain, no one will hold you high above their head. Remember, as long as you improve, everything else will gradually follow. To love others, learn to fill yourself up first. How you love yourself teaches others how to love you. I hope we can all be sincere people, using our own excellence to experience a beautiful, meaningful love in this life. Thank you for listening. If you find this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Support me with a like, hit the follow button, and turn on notifications to catch my latest videos. Thank you, and see you in the next ones. Ki Chu.